What if I told you that in the 21st century, slavery still exists? Not in chains, but in factories, farms, and households. In Brazil, this hidden crisis is deeply rooted and disturbingly widespread. Modern slavery continues to cast a long shadow over Brazil's economic and social fabric. Despite having one of the most progressive anti slavery legislations in Latin America, Brazil still grapples with widespread forced labor, particularly in sectors like agriculture, construction, mining, and textile manufacturing. The Global Slavery Index estimates that over 1.1 million people in Brazil are currently living in modern slavery. This includes forced labor, debt bondage, and exploitative working conditions often hidden within legal supply chains. Remotely backward areas and urban sweatshops alike serve as hotspots, especially in industries linked to global exports, such as coffee, beef, and cotton. The persistence of these practices also has significant economic consequences. Businesses found guilty of using forced labor are named on Brazil's dirty list. A government-maintained blacklist that damages corporate reputations and deters investment. Furthermore, international scrutiny is rising. Foreign buyers are increasingly rejecting Brazilian exports suspected of being tainted by modern slavery. In summary, global slavery in Brazil is not only a legal or ethical crisis, it is a deeply embedded issue that hinders inclusive growth, damages Brazil's international standing, and demands urgent collective action. Socially, this issue aggravates existing inequalities and undermines Brazil's international human rights commitments. The echoes of Brazil's colonial past and the delayed abolition of slavery in 1888 still resonate, especially in how systematic racism and economic disparity contribute to ongoing exploitations.
In Brazil, modern slavery presents itself through six major threats. These include economic exploitation, geographic isolation, supply chain risks, weak law enforcement, structural inequality, and a criminal network tied to deforestation. I'll briefly walk through each of them. Modern slavery thrives in industries like agriculture, mining, and timber. Workers face long hours, withheld pay, child labor, and even debt bondage. Remote areas, especially in Amazon and Northeast, are hard to regulate. Many workers are employed informally, with no contracts or protection. In Brazil, over a third of the labor force works in the informal economy, which increases vulnerability to exploitation. Products like coffee, soy, and timber linked to forced labor often enter global supply chains. Brazilian exporters have even been connected to farms on the country's official dirty list. This exposes international buyers, like those in Australia, to reputational and ethical risks. Although Brazil has laws against slave labor, enforcement is uneven. Labor inspectors face intimidation, and funding is often cut. In prisons, for example, inmates have been made to work unpaid under a legal loophole. Modern slavery in Brazil disproportionately affects Afro-Brazilians, migrants, and the poor. These groups often lack education or legal access. Scholars describe them as human commodities, people reduced to tools in a system that exploits their vulnerability. Criminal groups use forced labor to fuel illegal deforestation, especially in the Amazon. Logging and gold mining camps operate deep in the forest, often on an indigenous land where laborers are isolated, unpaid, and exposed to dangerous, degrading conditions.
Brazil has something called the dirty list. This list shows the name of company that use worker in the bad, unfair way. If a company is on the list, it cannot get money from the government. People also stop buying from them, so this make company follow the rule. Second, Brazil also has special item called mobile inspection unit. This term get to farm and building site. They check if workers are treated badly or not. They have thousands of people. Many people think this is one of the best programs in the world. In 2023, Brazil changed the law. Now modern slavery including like working very long hours, bad working conditions, or being trapped in them. This have inspection for more problem by the government of Brazil. But there are still the problem. Some checks are too slow and some companies do it again. Also many court and political issue made things harder. So Brazil is trying hard but more work is still needed.
And now, let's discuss some of the ethical dilemmas surrounding the global slavery in Brazil. Global slavery is a deep violation of human rights and dignity, especially through exploitation of marginalized groups. Afro-Brazilians and rural poor are often lured with the promise of a job and then trapped in isolated locations where they are forced to work exhausting hours in unsanitary conditions, facing physical abuse with no legal protection. They often fall into debt bondage, making it impossible to leave. The situation denies people their basic rights to autonomy, freedom, and fair working rights. Ethically, every person deserves to live and work with dignity, and exploiting someone as labor is a clear violation of justice and equality. Another serious concern is the widespread apathy and moral blindness of consumers, governments, and corporations. In Brazil, tools like the dirty list exist to expose violators, but the enforcement is often weak and politically influenced. Multinational corporations benefit from forced labor hidden deep in their supply chains. Meanwhile, consumers continue buying products without questioning how they were made. This lack of ethical responsibility and accountability allows modern slavery to continue, despite the knowledge and tools to stop it. There is a link between modern slavery and environmental destruction, particularly in Amazon. In Brazil, forced labor is often used in activities that contribute directly to deforestation, like illegal logging, cattle ranching, and charcoal production. The situation is a dual crisis: exploitation of humans and destruction of a critical global ecosystem that plays a major role in climate regulation. Slavery is more than a human rights issue. It's also a violation of environmental ethics
Australia's Modern
and global
Slavery Act,
responsibility.
introduced in 2019, was a significant legislative step, requiring companies with over $100 million in annual revenue to report publicly on how they manage the risk of modern slavery in their supply chains. Now, on the surface, it has achieved progress. Over 7,000 companies have submitted reports, and many now acknowledge transparency and brought the issue into boardroom conversations. But here's the critical point. The Act contains no penalties for non-compliance. And according to a 2021 study in the Journal of Business Ethics, many businesses are engaging in what they call symbolic compliance, or submitting vague or generic statements with limited action. In fact, the 2023 federal government found that around a quarter of companies failed to meet minimum reporting standards, and it recommended significant reforms, including financial penalties, mandatory due diligence, and expanding the law to cover smaller businesses. So the question is, has it been effective? Well, partially. The Act did raise awareness and drive disclosure, but without any enforceable obligations. It risks becoming a box-ticking exercise, more about image than impact. And so until action replaces intention, Australia's fight against modern slavery will remain a promise and not a policy.